call?
Yeah, my number is, it's 518, of course, and it's 791-1641.
41. Super.
Okay.
We're not too far apart.
No, that's about, I mean, maybe an hour.
Or less, yeah.
Yeah.
I retired from SCA up there in South Glens Falls.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yep.
So hopefully you guys can see my screen. I'm sharing now. I just want to bring everyone up to speed that there's been tremendous work done with the wing coordinators around the region and putting together, I think, a very exciting array of events coming up this spring. So I always post them on the home page of the website. So you can see on Tuesday the 19th, there's a breakfast in Wing 4 in Middleborough, Mass. Those of you who are in Connecticut, this Saturday, Cars and Coffee at Abingdon Spares in Deep River. You can also download that file if you would like, right there. Then next Saturday on the 23rd, there's an event at Enfield Auto Restorations in Enfield, coming along there. Another session that should be quite interesting on the 30th of April. This is going to be up in Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire, a tech session that Mark LeBlanc is putting on. It is Mevik. He's in the middle of 4 Healey restorations, and I believe 3 or 4 of them are our New England Club members. I'm not sure if Dave Bevins is on or not, but his car is up there on the restoration, and a couple others as well. But just want to make people aware that if you have questions about what's going on, please go on to the website. And we also had those updates. I'm gonna see if we'll carry on over here to the homepage. And now, if you go onto the calendar, are you guys still seeing? Are you guys now seeing the calendar events?
Yep.
Okay. So again, so we have an Excel spreadsheet out there and in PDF, so you can always download that. So if you ever have questions about what's going on in the region, feel free to go onto the website. I try to keep this as current and accurate as possible. So again, thank you very much to all the wing commanders for all the work that you guys have done in preparing for this year of events, but really looking forward to it. Bruce, anything else you'd like to add about that, or Judd?
Well, we still have plenty of opportunities for people in some of the wings. If you go through your list here and see there's nothing in your area, please feel free to step up and offer to do a tour. These do not need to be complicated tours. They don't need to be long tours, but it's always good to get together. And a tour is a good reason to do that. Could be a breakfast, it could be a ride, it could be a visit to a park, an Audubon sanctuary. Just let your imagination go wild, and I'm sure you'll have people joining you. So please step up if you don't see anything in your area. Host something, and if you do, please participate.
Great, thanks, Bruce. Well, let's get started. I saw Judd Perkins on earlier, but I don't see him now. Judd, are you on still? Okay, we'll let Judd come back there. But Mike DeVito's on, and I'm going to share a picture. So Mike, as I'm sharing that, you want to just give a question? It's regarding the PCV valves, right,
sure.
Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Pete. And hi, everyone. Just I sent a picture here. I'm gathering the parts to try to hook up this PCV setup, and I'm having a little trouble getting the fitting that goes on the back of the manifold. So in the little caliper here, you can see it. That's the one the plug that's in there now. It's got, basically it's 3/8 OD with real fine threads. I'm told those threads are called BSPP, British Standard Parallel Pipe, I think is what that means. But, you know, I've been to a number of different supply houses in the area here in Connecticut, central Connecticut. Gone online. I can't find it. I'm looking to get something that'll thread in using that same thread pattern into the manifold with either a barb or a tube fitting on the end, 3/8 if I could get it. But the example here is a 1/4 inch. The brass fitting that you see here is pretty commonly available. The problem is it's NPT threads, so it won't thread into the manifold. So if anybody has any idea of a supplier that might, you know, be able to help me, the ones I've gone through basically look at me like I have two heads when I bring this in and show them the pipe threads. So that's what I'm looking for.
What about a machine shop?
Yeah, I guess you mean just to make one basically, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that may be the best approach.
Doesn't look like it's that hard to make, and if they can thread it, I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I guess it's just, I just can't find a standard fitting. Now that there was someone that I communicated with that has a BJ8 and has done this, and he said he went down to his local hardware store and they were able to find one. So, you know, my local hardware stores don't have any. So you know, I'm kind of thinking that I may have to have one made up.
How
What
about
drilling
Bob
out the
Abbott?
plug?
Oh, go ahead, Ken.
What about drilling out the plug? In putting, you know, threading a fitting in, you know, tap the plug and put
Yeah.
a fitting into that.
Yeah, so that's a possibility. The thing is, I want to reserve the ability to go back in case this doesn't work. So, and I went on, at least on the Moss catalog, this plug is not available. So I didn't want to sort of
Oh.
damage it, if you know what I mean. Now,
Mhm.
Yeah, but
maybe I
there are
could get
hundreds of intake manifolds around that have that same plug in them. I probably have 3 of them on my shelf right now. Now, I haven't looked to see whether I have that plug, but I know I have intake manifolds.
Yeah.
They may not even be for a BJ8, but they're tapped and plugged the same way.
yeah. Yeah, that's if you've,
So you'd just have to put it in a drill press and drill it and tap it for a smaller barb.
yeah. Yeah, Bob, if you've got anything like that, you're willing to give it up, I'm happy to purchase it and then get somebody to do that.
So I'll look tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
And see if I have something.
Okay, thanks. Other than that, I have all the pieces, so I'm hoping that I can hook this up and report back to you all on whether it works or not. The idea is it might reduce some of the dripping coming out of the back, so we'll see.
Your Healy's just marking its spot there, Mike.
Yeah, I know, and I've got a new driveway coming in, and my wife's not too crazy about
Uh-oh.
on it. So
Wow. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I've kind of avoided a new driveway. Like
Yeah.
mine's 25 years old.
yeah, mine's 30, and it's looks at this point. So
Okay.
But
Well,
listen,
hopefully you're
thanks a
not
lot,
going
Pete,
with concrete or stone or anything like that that would show up more than asphalt.
yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts from Mike in terms of threading this out, or just drilling the end there that has been suggested by Bob? Okay, well, let's move on. Judd, I see you're back.
Mike, Pete, I was
Thanks.
gonna say if Mike wanted to, he could probably go to a hydraulics place. They would definitely have British straight threads, and they could probably get any kind of an adapter if you wanted. That would be what I would do if you wanted something nice and neat and clean. I mean, he could certainly do, you know, rethread the thing or go to a machine shop, but any hydraulics place would have that.
Okay. That's good.
Parker or Air Quick. But I don't know if where you're at or where you would have that available in your area.
I just Googled that, and there's a number of companies who make that with the BSPP
Really?
threads. Yeah, Granger's. If you just Google BSPP hose barb, comes right up.
Thanks, Rich.
$7.46.
I reached out to Granger and I actually bought an item that they said would fit and it didn't. So I need to get with their tech folks again, maybe.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of companies who say they have that with that kind of thread. So,
Okay, I'll give that,
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
Yep.
thanks. Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Okay. So, Judd, I see you're back on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got no audio on my computer.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of background noise.
Yeah, hang on just a second.
Because do you have both your phone on as well as your computer?
Yeah, I'm just shutting it down now.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
So Judd's got a question, and so he's got a 65 BJ8, and when he starts off, the battery acts flat or weak, as if it's not charged. However, it's always has enough charge to start the car. This has been a long-standing problem. I've replaced the battery without it changing, and it just curious if any suggestions or recommendations with a flat or a weak starting on a BJ8.
I got a comment on that.
Please, Eldon.
Have you checked the battery? Is the battery actually up, or is it the battery end up weak?
No, the battery's up. And I replaced the battery on it because at first I thought, well, maybe the battery's gone. So I replaced the battery and it didn't change anything.
Okay, have you checked the master switch right next to the battery?
I cleaned all the terminals associated with it. I didn't do anything more than that, but I cleaned the terminals at the battery and then from the battery to the switch on both sides of it and cleaned all those up.
I had a switch that looked fine, but I had the same thing. The car just kind of didn't want to turn over. I changed the switch and it just worked fine.
Okay, great.
I was first thinking they're not expensive.
Yeah.
But I have one caveat. I bought a new switch. Everything was fine. Car ran great. Battery stayed up. No problem at all. One day I shut the switch off for some reason I've forgotten now. And car was in my barn. Then it turned out to be a nice day. I went out and started up the car and drove away, and I got down the road and I said, wait a minute, I didn't turn that switch on. Well, it turned out that switch, when I turned it off, didn't go off. It was a defective switch, but it was on. So I got another one and that seems to work fine. So then I got it from Moss Motors. I think Bob Abbott remember my question when I said, when you buy stuff from Moss Motors, is a good part of the time does it turn out defective? And I think he said that's kind of a chronic problem. So
well, I get most of my parts from British Car Specialists in Stockton, California. They use different sources than Moss does, and I've had really good success with them.
yes, is that Knox place?
That's Knox. Yeah.
Yeah, I purchased from them and they're good. And I also have his manual, which is wonderful. The composite of all his articles.
Yep, I've got that too.
Yeah. So first thing I would do is swap out that switch and get a new one and then check that it goes on and off. But the contacts feel altogether different when you turn it. So that's the first thing I would do. I had the very same issue.
You know, Judd, the other thing you can bypass that switch entirely and try it that way and see if that way would tell you if that switch is maybe faulty.
That would certainly be a good thing to do.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah, because and you're absolutely right. They historically are a bit of a weak link, and they've not necessarily the strongest. So that may be another thing to isolate it.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I don't get any indication. For example, if it was a generator problem, I don't get any indication on and it's an idiot light, so you really can't tell the charge. But it doesn't appear that that it's failing to charge. And like I said, the battery does this even when it's topped off. So.
And the other thing I would do, I just got sick of not knowing what the charging, whether everything was working in the electrical system. And
Yeah.
I just got myself an LED voltmeter and tucked it away up under the, on the left side of the.
The
of
tray, underneath the
dashboard.
tray, Alden?
What's that?
That tray inside the engine, inside your footwell, the tray is, you said you tucked it underneath the dash?
I tucked it up to the left. It's on the dashboard where, up to the left, up over what am I trying to say? The gas gauge up under there. And
Okay,
it's blue, so it doesn't show up red or at night. And boy, that makes a big difference when you know you got charged, when you got 14 volts, you just know it.
Yeah.
The red light is most deceptive.
Yeah,
The
I
one
mean,
that,
if I was smart, I'd probably put a amp meter or just a charging thing in the car.
voltmeter, yeah.
Well,
Voltmeter, there we
that
go.
meter will work. That meter will work, but then you got to route everything through it. This was simple. You just hook it into the system. A voltmeter is really simpler. You really know all right off whether you're getting a good charge or whether you're not. And it's and you know what the battery voltage is the minute you turn the key on. And I think it's the best way to go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, well, that ties right in terms of, Deb and Rick, you guys had a question. I see you guys are on, and you've got a 67 BG8, and you're inquiring regarding the amperage in the fuses. Any additional detail you'd like to provide to our group on the call tonight, Deb?
Yep, go ahead, Rick.
Okay, what I found was somebody makes a 7-gang fuse block that will go right on the firewall that will replace what you got there. So you've got protection on every circuit. Anybody seen those? Familiar? Got pros and cons?
Well, so you all know we've got one 50 amp fuse and one 35
Yeah.
amp.
Yeah,
And-
just the two.
and that- Yeah, just the two.
Yeah.
So the 7-gang, and so is that something you found online, Rick?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks like a nice setup. All your wires are separated already. They're just hooked together on the stock one. If you unplug them and separate them into the individual circuits with a fuse right there, it seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah, Rick, this is Tom. I have a friend that has just put one into his Healy, and it was designed for the Healy, so it would fit right into the same bolt holes.
Yeah.
And he likes it because it got rid of all of the inline fuses along the way. So he's had no problems with it. I do have the contact information somewhere if you don't have it, and I can try to
Yeah.
take it. But it's also on
the same
AHDXP.
one.
Yeah, AHDXP has quite a bit of information on it.
Who has we didn't hear that. I have some crotch rocket flying by here.
Yeah, it's the website ahexp.com.
AHEXP
P. Yep, like
is in Peter
yep.
.com.
Okay.
It's a pretty good website if you're not using it for a lot of resource.
Sure. I found this on Healy6.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like the same one because it says it mounts with the same mounting holes and
Is that Healy 6 SIX or the numeral 6?
numeral 6. Healy 6. Yes, there was a lot
Yeah,
of information.
again, if you go onto the members only section of our website, we do have a link directly to Healy 6.
Oh, okay.
Even better.
So again, go to the so again, on the website, go to the members only section. And
Okay.
and you get the link directly to that website.
Perfect.
Okay, so this person that he installed one and he's happy with it, huh?
Yes, and
And Tom, is he using all 7 circuits?
that I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I'm going to probably end up doing it towards the end of the summer after I've driven enough.
Yep.
I don't want to do any projects until the summer's over.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that routine. Okay, and then Rick, you were also inquiring about an electric fan to prevent the overheating.
Yes.
How have you had the radiator flushed?
The cars have been all redone, and it's not, as far as I know, everything has been gone through.
Okay, so the radiator was recored or flushed?
I don't know what was done to it, but I'm sure it was done. I mean, it's painted new black. It's brand new.
Okay, and how hot are you running in normal driving? You know, if it's a 70-degree day, how warm are you running in?
Yeah, we haven't put a lot of miles on it yet, and it varies depending on, it's stuck in traffic once, and the temperature came up, and one other time, the temperature came up and we actually pulled over to where we were going, and it overheated, but it didn't lose any fluid, any increase. But I was just wondering if that the electric fan with a thermostat would be a good improvement.
So I have an electric fan on my 100. That one tends to run a little warmer than my other cars. I've chosen to use a toggle switch. So if I know I'm going to stop into traffic, I flip it on and flip it off. Now you're right. You can put it right into it, into with a thermostat right into the line there too, and it would come on automatically. I've just kind of chosen to manage that myself. And I've been pleased with it. It was a fairly easy installation. I don't have it on my other cars because they all had record radiators. And I found that was, they haven't needed it where the 100 did.
Okay. So we're not sure what was done to the radiator, but I mean, the whole car has been gone through, and I'm sure it must have been addressed at that point.
Yeah, I bought one. I think I bought it through Moss, and I think Hayden was the manufacturer, as I recall right now. And it was an easy installation. There are 4 plastic, fairly long, probably 8-inch plastic that hold it onto the radiator. You cut them off there. There's a connector, kind of like a zip tie. So it zip ties there. It goes right through the radiator. And so it doesn't do any damage to the radiator. It's thin enough to fit between the veins in the radiator.
Yeah. And then are you still running the fan that's on the fan belt too, or?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you're running both.
Yeah, absolutely. I just use that as an auxiliary if I get, it's more if I get stuck in traffic and that sort of thing. If I see it, if getting up at 200 degrees, I'll flip it on.
Yes.
Peter, did you switch over to an alternator instead of a generator?
Not on the 100, no.
You're still running the fan with a generator?
Yep. Yeah, I have 2 of the Sprites are running alternators, but both the big Healey's in Project Quinn is running a generator still.
Hi everybody, it's Rick Zolzer from the Renegades, and if you haven't been to a ball game in a while, then you're
okay. Didn't want to listen to his TV.
Peter, I've got another suggestion. Ken
Please.
Gibson here. There's a product out on the market called Water Wetter. And what this product does, it actually changes the ionization of the molecules in the water, and the car will run anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees cooler with the proper mixture in there, and it's compatible with water or antifreeze, and most any auto parts store should carry it.
Great, good to know.
Yeah, I've used that as well. I've had good luck with Water Wetter.
Okay, sounds good. That takes care of us.
But that, Pete, doesn't that work a lot better with just water than it does with antifreeze? It's not as effective with antifreeze, is it?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Anyone else know?
Yes.
Use it in my race car, and I don't use any antifreeze. That works great.
But
what I've read is that the benefit diminishes as you add antifreeze. So if you're up in cold climate like I am, you got to have 50-50 antifreeze to get through the winter, and you have to change it out. And our season is short enough. We just use antifreeze. So you get about 3 or 4 degrees with full antifreeze, but with no antifreeze, according to the literature I've read, it works much better.
You are correct. Straight water is the best coolant,
Yeah.
period. Even though antifreeze says coolant, you're right. Straight water does. But even
I agree, that's correct. Water is the best for getting rid of heat, but antifreeze, you need it for naturally antifreeze.
right.
Yep, exactly. Okay, Marco, are you on the call by chance? Marco Oliveri? I don't see you, so we'll hold your question if you're going to join us. So I guess at that, I'll open it up to others on the call. We got 33 on the call. Other questions that people have that they may have not have sent in advance?
Yes,
Go ahead, Alden.
There was some talk some time ago, I think one of the earlier sessions, so maybe around the first of the year, rather than the voltage regulator that you get from Moss, which seems to be about the main thing available these days. There's something electronic one or something like that. What's the experience and what's the source on those? An alternative to the standard voltage regulator.
Does anyone have any thoughts on that? I don't recall that discussion, Alden, in all honesty.
I remember it was we discussed it and somebody said there was an electronic voltage regulator or something like that, whatever that means.
Alden, I think I was the one talking to you about it, and this is Bob Abbott.
Yeah.
There was a guy up in New Hampshire who was making them. You know, he was taking an old regulator and converting it to electronic rather than the little bobbins, but he passed away. And there was a lot of comments on the Healy string email list about, well, if somebody had the schematics, I could do that for you, but I'm not going to try to design it myself. And after that, I never heard anything else about it. So I wouldn't know where you could go out and buy one of those.
So that's a dead issue at this point. I've also heard that you can buy an alternator that looks like the old-fashioned
you can have your generator converted to an alternator, but it's expensive.
Okay.
You can send them the generator. I've done it for a Corvette. The customer wanted an alternator in his car, but he didn't want it to look like an alternator. And I sent a Corvette short generator out to Oregon. And 2 weeks later, it came back, wired up with one wire, and boom, he was happy as can be.
You leave the voltage regulator there to make the car look nice.
And just leave the box there. Yep.
Okay.
Bob, define expensive. Do you remember?
I think I paid about $300 to have it done.
There is a company that makes those, and it's called PowerGen.
PowerGen?
PowerGen. I have one on my 51 Mercury, and it works great.
Yeah, no, I've seen them, and I think Moss sells one as well. That it looks just like a generator, but it is an alternator. And I think Bug Eye Guy sells them for sprites, as I recall.
Okay.
But yeah, they're out there now.
Hey, Peter, I have a question.
Please go ahead, Rich.
I'm running on my car the standard original tires, the Dunlap 590.
Wow.
And I'm trying to do a concourse. So
right.
I was wondering if anybody has any experience with tire pressure on that. I mean, I read the manual, which talks about 20 pounds in the front and 23 in the rear. And
really, that low?
I know. Fully loaded, they say 26 in the rear. And then there's another note that says if you're going to travel over 85 miles an hour, which I don't plan to do.
Yeah.
But they say, adds 6 pounds to all tires. So
Rich, are these reproduction tires of those Dunlop you're using for concourse?
Right.
Or are they the actual original tires?
Well, there's a company, long, trying to think of the name of it now, but they're out of England. But
Okay,
they were selling them a few years ago, from the original
moles.
mold.
Okay.
So that's what I bought. I'm not crazy about them, but that's what I have. But I was just wondering what kind of pressure I should be using on those.
Boy, that sounds awful
That
low.
company is called Longstone,
Yeah, right.
and they have a very good tech part of the company. You might just shoot them an email and see what they say.
Yeah, I did. I never heard back from them. I sent them one a couple days ago. It looks like
Usually
they
on,
no
Should
longer
send you-
sell those either, or make them.
guys, usually on modern tires, they'll tell you what the maximum pressure is on the tire,
Right.
on the tire itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, these don't have anything. I looked. I mean,
Tire
these are
website,
out of the
tire
original
website.
mold, so they have what they had.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm running a few pounds higher than that.
So if you tried it at 20 pounds, do they look like they're very low, Rich?
Well, I've got them 22 in the front and about 23 in the back right now.
Wow, that still sounds low, doesn't it?
Sounds low, but they look okay.
Okay.
Hey, Rich.
Yeah.
Rich, I was reading an article just last week where the original tire pressure was, I think it was 24 and 25.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of articles, online.
It was in an Austin-Healey magazine or something where they were talking about tire pressure. It was 24 and 25.
24 and 25?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I can try and bump them up a little bit.
Well, Rich, the other thing is, Don Schneider and Mike Salter. Mike's not on the call tonight because he's over in he's at the Goodwood members meet this weekend. But you may want to reach out to them. That they are going to be the ones who will be. They're the lead judges on the concourse at Enclave. They maybe could go there. Do you have the concourse guide, Richard? Is there any mention there as it relates to tire pressure?
I just bought the new one. I have it.
Yep.
I did not look in there actually, but I guess I can.
Somebody,
I don't recall they're testing tire pressure for concourse, but maybe they are.
somebody correct me, and I may be totally off base on this, but I have a vague recollection. Isn't a British pound PSI different than an American pound PSI? I remember vaguely that getting into volume, like quarts and pints and all that stuff, that there's a slightly different measure.
Well, imperial gallons are definitely different than US gallons, Judd. Bob Ewell, can you help us on that?
No, PSI is PSI, no matter where it is.
Okay, thank you.
That's I would think so. Well, I guess I'll wait to hear back from Longstone and also check the concourse guidelines.
Yeah.
Send
Peter?
Longstone your visa number and they'll reply more quickly.
Yeah, it'll be $1 per pound for each tire.
Hey, Peter, it's Nick. When my car was judged, I had it judged in 2 different areas. They never checked tire pressure.
Right. I'd be surprised. I was a judge on a Sprite at an encounter and we didn't check tire pressure.
Well, the reason being, you can take 3 different gauges and get 4 different numbers.
There you go. Okay. Other questions people have tonight?
I have a comment, Pete.
Please, Alden.
When I bought my Healy a year ago, late February, it had the standard 3.9 differential in it for an overdrive Healy. And driving the Vermont roads here, just, not trying to accelerate awful fast and just want a pleasant drive. I found the gear ratios awfully low. You're just out of first gear at 2 miles an hour. In fact, you could almost not use first gear at all.
Yep.
So I looked at Moss and they wanted $1,300 about for a plus shipping for a pumpkin. And then I found it was a little cheaper to go over to Dennis Welch. And I got one there, and the car drives just beautifully. All the gears are nicely apportioned now, but the darn thing was noisy. So after a while, I called them up and they said, well, it shouldn't do that. Yes, well, so I ended up sending this one back and they sent me another one. We made an arrangement. They would send me another one and I would pay the shipping, sending my old one, and they would pay the shipping coming over. And darn it, this one is just as noisy, if a little worse, because the noise, it kind of goes, yeah, instead of just straight. And all around 50 to 60 miles an hour. And I don't know what to do. I've still got the old pumpkin I had. I'm tempted to try to, my local guy here is pretty handy. Maybe trying to get the parts and convert it myself and see if that works better. What is your
So Alden, what's the gear ratio on the Dennis Welch diff?
Well, the differential, it's 3.54.
Okay, it is. Okay. I think
that's what came with the standard without the, that's what was standard without the overdrive. With overdrive, for some reason, they went to 3.91. And why, I don't know, because the gears are just too low.
Yeah, I've got a 3.5 in my BJ8 and I love it.
Yeah.
Now, mine has from Mike Lempert. Mike was doing that, and then like a member of ours, Paul Donnell, installed it in my car. I had a spare pumpkin. We used a machine shop out in Greenfield in order to install it, and it's been great. I've got no whining, and I love it.
And where did you get the pumpkin from, or did you have it converted?
The pumpkin was converted. It was built in Greenfield, Massachusetts. But I got the gears from Mike Lempert. Does anyone know, is Mike, and I heard that his son was, Mike's son was doing gears again. Does anyone have any knowledge or experience with 3.5 Ford gears?
Mike's
son did it.
I've got a set of those Lemperts and they're great.
Yep. You're saying, Rick?
Mike's son did it. Oh, I'm sorry. So back when Mike Lempert
I was going to say, Mike
was doing this gear business, we were probably his biggest customer. We bought close to 100 units and installed them.
Wow.
He is no longer doing them at all.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Mike's son did it for a short while, I'd say for about a year or so, and then stopped doing it. Mike is still doing his steering wheels, but not the gears. Alden, did you get a whole pumpkin, or did you get just the crown and pinion?
No, I got the whole pumpkin put together because I thought that, they supposedly expert at putting these things together, and I've got 2 of them now that whine. And we do this with a stethoscope, put it up on a lift and listen through a stethoscope. And you can really tell it isn't in the transmission. And the first one was noisier toward the front of it, toward the bearings near the pinion. This one here is noisy in the where the what they call the crown or the ring gear aft. And I just don't know. I'm tempted to get go to spares or something and get a ring gear, get a pinion and the seals and the gaskets and that sort of stuff, and just do it here in Vermont and get it right and then change it out.
Did you break it in first?
Well, what do you mean by breaking in?
When you put in a new gear set like that, it generally means for the first 500 miles, you should take it out for short trips at a time, not overheat it, don't take it on any long distances. There's a pretty specific break-in procedure for a new crown and pinion. The weird thing is, I've never had anyone tell me on a new car I should break it in, but they do tell you on a when you put a new set in, you do need to break it in. So that'd be one thing I would look at. The other thing I would look at, if you've already got the crown and pinion and not going to send it back to Dennis Welch, what harm would it be to have somebody try to reset it and check all the backlash and everything for the one you've already got?
Well, I didn't never heard about breaking it in. As a practical matter, that's what I've done, is drive at short distances and not long distances.
Okay.
But the darn thing, right, almost immediately, the only thing that we noticed was the first time we drove it, it was real cold up here, so the oil was thicker and it wasn't very noisy, but it's warmer up, it's warmed up some now, and boy, after about 5 minutes, it really is noisy.
So what are you using for gear oil, Alden?
I'm using, actually, I'm using AMSOIL 7590.
Okay.
Peter,
And
do you think that shop in Massachusetts where Paul used to have them done would have enough familiarity with Healy's that they might be able to troubleshoot it?
Yeah, it was a shop in Greenfield. Remember, we had a tech session there going on. Maybe check with Denny. Denny maybe recalls there. I did. We went, but I think that's
Jed?
Go ahead.
Was it Donovan's?
No, it wasn't.
Was
It wasn't in Lenox. It was in Greenfield.
There was a guy that built the motors.
Yes.
We went to a tech session. Yeah, now if I can only remember where that was.
Well, it was in Greenfield, and this was maybe 10 years ago. We had a tech session at a machine shop, and that's where Paul was having the Mike Lempert gears installed into the pumpkins. And I had a spare pumpkin. I gave my pumpkin. Then he came down to my shop, and we installed it, and it's been great ever since.
I was wondering if you put some SGP in, what would happen?
I don't know. Bob Mueller, Bob, have any experience with winding gears and anything to do to quiet them down?
No.
How about some sawdust?
I know I read that John Steinbeck novel that spoke about that. Grapes of Wrath, I think.
That's what you do right before the sale.
Well, I'll just keep fiddling with it. It's turned out to be an expensive proposition, though, by the time I've gotten done.
I mean, have you taken it to any machine shops? Because you said if you got a spare one, Alden, anyways.
I got a spare one, and what I'm tempted to do is go to AH Spares, buy a new ring gear and pinion, and because that's not awfully expensive. And then you have to get, the spacers and the things that go into doing it, and new gaskets and seals. And we've got a guy here that's really good at all that kind of stuff, although he hasn't done one of these in recent years. And I'm tempted to just get with him and the two of us do it together and take the time, do it carefully, make sure that, you make sure the gears are right. I guess you mark them with some, bluing or something and then run it so that you can see whether they're meshing properly, that kind of stuff. And do it here. And if it works out, it works out. And I'm sick of trying to buy a whole pumpkin.
I'll do.
Well, it's very popular.
Say again?
I was going to say it's very popular.
I can't.
Go ahead. I was going to ask you a question. Is it running hot? Can you pull it out after you run it around for 10 miles or so and see if it's actually hot?
I can't say that I've tried that, and I don't know. I don't know.
Well, what I would do is run around for a couple of miles, take it back to your garage and see if feel it, pull the back seat out, feel it, see if it's hot. If it's hot, you got a problem with the gears.
Huh, okay. I don't think I could reach from the back seat, but get a.
I mean, that's the way I get my differential. If I'm on the right page here, and if put your hand on it or near it and see if it's super hot. If it's super hot, you got a problem.
Yeah, well, I don't want to put up with the sound. It's just too noisy.
Well, that's not right. You should have a quiet differential. and see if, see if the thing's running hot. Even if you have to get underneath the car and do it, and just put your hand there, see if it's hot, then you got a problem with either or. Why that would be, I don't know. That would be up to you guys.
Well, this guy that here, the first one he thought was something that had more to do with bearings. This one, he thinks that the gears are mismanufactured rather than misset. It isn't the setup, it's the gear itself that probably is not made right. That's what my mechanic, who really
You got the
did a
right
long time
oil.
with this stuff, and he knows this stuff.
If you got
He
the right
listens
oil,
to stethoscope.
I say
Go
if
ahead.
you have the right oil and you have it installed correctly, it shouldn't be running hot. And I mean, when I say hot, I mean it's really hot. You could put your hand on it.
Yeah.
Because I've
Well,
run
I can
across
certainly
that.
check that. I certainly will check
That's
that.
one way. That's the first thing I would check.
Yeah, okay.
I wonder about
Alden, I might advise
changing the
that a lot
oil.
of these parts,
I'm sorry, say again, Rick?
a lot of the parts that come from England are all going to be manufactured by the same people.
They
And it wouldn't surprise me that AH is selling Dennis Welch parts because there's not for manufacturers. It's going to be one.
So you were badly broken up there, but you're saying that wherever I get the parts, they'll be the same?
Probably. I'm going to say that I bet that the Dennis Welch is manufacturing the parts that AH Spears is selling.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to do, but I gotta get rid of it. I can't stand the noise. Well, thank you for your help.
While you're all talking about AH spares, I've been using them a lot lately instead of Moss. And even with the overseas shipping, the prices on the same units are considerably lower when you look at the FX change. So Moss must have set their prices when the FX was at a much different level. So for those of you, it's a little pain to return things, but I'm finding it a lot cheaper. So I just bunch my orders to get things from AH directly. But the Dennis Welch is a nice idea as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and
they've
then
been very
Heifer
nice to
Healy's
me.
is
They've
one of
been
the other
very nice to me,
alternatives
but it
there as
hasn't
well.
worked out.
So Martin just pointed there about, checking the oil in the pumpkin. So have you drained it, Alden, as it relates to oil? Do you find any fragments of metal or anything if you drain the oil?
I haven't drained it yet, but I think that's a
Okay.
good idea to see what's happening in there.
And what if you went to even a greater viscosity?
Well, Emsoil makes a 75/40. And the last one, I tried that. It didn't make any difference at all what viscosity I used.
Okay.
But this one I think is a different source of the sound though, because it sounds different. It oscillates, it goes, yeah, that kind of thing. And it comes from a different part of the noise. As you use the stethoscope, you can see it's in a different position.
Okay. Well, there are a few ideas there, Alden. Hopefully you'll find a solution, because obviously it sounds very aggravating what you're dealing with.
Well, it gets expensive after a while.
No, that's another subject. Other questions tonight?
Yes, Peter, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Actually, I have three quick things. The first thing I want to do is I want to publicly thank Bob Abbott. I bug him every once in a while with some questions, and he's always been very, very accommodating, and I just want to publicly thank you, Bob. I don't know what else to say other than thank you. I appreciate your help. So I have another thought on the gentleman that had the problem with the starter. If you eliminate the switch and it still turns over, my guess would be that one or two of the brushes in the starter are hanging up. Because if they are, the starter will still turn over, but sometimes it will, and sometimes it will not be enough to turn the engine over fast enough to start. So if that solution doesn't work, I'd take a look at the brushes in the starter. And the last thing I have is tomorrow I'm going to be installing new valve seals on my 104. And, they came apart, no problem. The guides are all good. And I'm just curious, is there anything in particular? I've never done a Healey valve guide or valve seals. I've done others, but is there anything I should be particularly aware of putting these new seals in?
Anyone have any experience there? Any recommendations for Ken on his valve seals?
I'm thinking it should be straightforward.
Are you doing that with the head still on the car, Ken?
Oh, no. And the head's off, the engine's out of the
Okay.
car.
Okay.
Well, the seals are just an O-ring.
Yes, that's correct.
So as long as they're pushed down over the valve stem and, and up against the guide, then you really can't go wrong.
Okay. I didn't think so, but, forewarned is forearmed, So that's all I had, Peter. Thank you.
No, thank you. Good question. Good luck. Let us know how that all comes together next month.
Will do.
Great.
Hey, Peter, I had a question about this, the All British Auto Parts swap meet. I was wondering if anybody has been to one of these in the past and what they're like.
That is brand new. So BMC New England is the one who's doing, that's May 1st down in North Kingstown, Rhode Island. And I am planning on going to that, Rich.
Yeah. I mean, I have a bunch of parts that I, bought from my restoration and I didn't use them.
Yeah.
And I also have obviously a lot of used parts because I had a parts car that I scavenged parts off of.
Yeah, that's, Chris Izzo is coordinating that from BMC New England, and that's May 1st down in North Kingstown, Rhode Island. So I would think that would be a good thing to check out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the first that I'm aware that that's been done, Rich.
Okay.
But so if I'm gonna page down to that. Here's that swap meet and the details on that. There is also you can download the file for that also, Rich.
Yep.
So I am planning on attending.
Oh, good. We'll see you there.
So it said, participation and admission's free. So how can you go wrong?
Yeah. Sounds like. I may plan to go.
Yeah, the other thing is obviously just I'm bouncing around again on our website. We do have so here's were you ever able to sell that generator?
I never heard from anybody. I don't know what the right price is for this thing. I just know what I ended up paying for it.
Yep.
But I bought this generator and it was totally rebuilt. And I ended up it was and then I had my original one rebuilt. So I ended up having two of them.
Yep. Yeah, I've got a spare as well. So again, that's another, you said you have other parts too. As a member, you can post anything onto our classified section for free, Rich.
Yeah, I should probably do that. I mean, I have an engine block. I don't know if anybody wants a boat anchor or not.
It's a 6-cylinder.
It's a 6-cylinder. It's from I believe a 1960 BT7.
Okay. And is it in original condition, or has it had any work done under the block?
Oh no, it's just a block. It was sitting outside, so
Uh-oh.
It needs some work, but if somebody had a situation where they needed the block, I mean,
Okay.
I'm willing to give it away if somebody wants to haul it away. I also have a rear end from that car.
So that rear end is that a 4.2? Or is it a 3.9?
I have no idea. It's what came out of the car. I never looked.
Okay.
It had an overdrive, that
Yeah.
car. So
But it's for a BT7?
to a BT7, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
believe
those
it's a
are 4.2s.
1960.
Yeah, I think those are 4.2s. Okay. Other thoughts or questions?
Just one more thing. I just redid my steering wheel, and I'm aware from putting it back that some people drive with a regular Y, that is the spokes, the 3 spokes are in a Y shape. Some people drive with the 1 spoke up so they can see the gauges better. Any comments on that?
It came from the factory with 1 spoke up.
It did, okay.
Yes, that's the way it should be.
I've driven it both ways, and I'm not used to having 1 spoke up. It looks kind of strange, but it has a better view of the gauges for
It
sure.
has a much better view of the gauges.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, Pete,
Yeah.
Peter, I just texted out to people. I was just thinking about Judd's startup problem. He might want to check his ground between the engine block and the chassis, because a bad ground can also cause your starter to behave that way.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep.
I see.
Yeah, Rick, thanks.
Okay.
You know, speaking of that ground for the engine to the frame, where does that go on the engine? It's a short piece of ground wire.
Goes on one of the transmission bolts where it bolts to the bell housing, bolts to the engine block.
Yep.
Okay.
From the frame right over to the bell housing.
Okay.
Yeah, it can only reach one of them, I believe.
Yeah, it's on your car. I'm not positive which one, but on a 6-cylinder, it's right there where the slave cylinder is on the transmission.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll reach. I'll try it, but I wasn't sure where it was supposed to go. I haven't had one for years, so.
You've been running the car without a ground wire?
On the engine, yes.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't had any problem.
Okay. Well,
Let me
Oh,
talk to
ground is
that
ground.
when on my bug eye race car, we left it off, and I was getting an arc from the head to the battery. It was actually zapped across there. So
Really?
we ended up putting one in, but it was actually firing across the battery.
Huh.
Scary stuff.
Yeah. Was that when you were under load, Richard, it was doing that, or just
when I cranked it up, just started. It would just fire.
That's crazy.
And I didn't have that.
You
ground
also
strap
find on a bug eye the pull cable for the starter will also serve as a real good ground if you don't have another good ground. You get to see the sparks going in your engine compartment.
I've seen that on a
Lots of
6-cylinder
fun.
engine. I've seen the choke cable glowing red. If you're cranking on the engine too long,
Yeah, same thing.
you don't have a ground. It just all goes through the choke cable.
Wow.
I've got 2 ground wires, so I could lengthen. I can put them together and get longer lengths. So.
But you shouldn't need longer length. I wouldn't think, depending where you're grounded under the chassis, Ted.
No, I know. I've looked at it. Well, it's grounded. The chassis is grounded.
But then but this is going chassis to the transmission bolt that goes through the bell housing.
Right. I don't have one, so I'll put one on.
Okay. Well,
to know if it makes a difference.
Well, I
That's-
would strongly recommend you do that because I have a 26 Franklin, a 40 Packard, and a 51 Mercury, and none of them had ground straps. And the second I put ground straps from the chassis to the engine or transmission, all those 6-volt starters, I mean, it turned that engine over much better.
All right.
Yeah, sounds like a good thing to do. So, okay. Anything before we close?
I'd say something.
Please.
Yeah, Alden, Brian mentioned that he was in Vermont. I'm a Vermonter also, just wondered where he was.
I'm up in Williston, which is just the next town east of Burlington and South Burlington.
Well, I'm in Addison, not too far away then.
Oh, where are you in Addison?
Right on Route 22A. Yep,
I'm sorry, say when? Where?
right on Route 22A before you get to Addison Four Corners, just south of
Oh,
Virginia.
well, yeah. Okay, well, what have you got for a car?
67 VGA,
Well, what year?
67.
67.
Yeah, mine's a 65.
I bought it in 1970 and still have it.
Great.
I'm new to Healy's, and I find it's a great experience. I bought a car fully restored, but there are things that needed to be done, things that to improve it. I recently did the steering over from Dennis Welch. I got a new steering column and gearbox, and boy, it's beautiful now. The steering is just lovely.
Great. Well, maybe sometime we'll meet up at the Cars and the Coffee thing in Williston.
Yes, yes. Where do you go up that way?
I do occasionally go to that meet. It's at the mall there in Williston, or South Burlington, rather.
Oh, yeah, the one in South Burlington, the old cars meet on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've gone to one or two of those. I assume they're going to start up again. I haven't heard anything recently.
They are, I'm also a member of the Vermont Automobile Enthusiasts. I got a Model A Ford
Yeah.
too, so.
Yeah, what is it, the third Saturday in the month?
I think it is the third Saturdays, yeah, 7 to 11, I think it is.
Is that this coming Saturday then?
Don't quote me. Look it
Must
up on
be
the
because
VAE website, it'll be on there.
Yeah, okay, good. I'll see you there. And your name is John?
John Spencer, yep.
Okay, good. I hope to see you.
Look at that. Met neighbors here on the Zoom call tonight. So, well, great. Well, thank you all for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this evening, and hopefully everyone's getting out. And now that the weather's getting nice and enjoying your cars, just give you a little bit of an update. So as it relates to those who are planning to enclave, we have over 230 registrations. And it's going to be an absolutely great event. So if you've not registered, I'd suggest you do that at the earliest convenience. So it's again at enclave2022.org, and it's the third week in September. So looking forward to that. So our next call will be, again, this call is always the second Monday of the month. So that would be on May 9th is the next time we have this call. So thank you all. Hope you're doing well and have a great rest of April, and look forward to seeing you guys in May. Good night.
Good night, Pete.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Peter.
Bye-bye.
Bye.